Okay, picture this. Nevada. You're probably thinking desert sunshine.
Definitely. Lots of sun.
Now, what if I told you people are exploring rain-powered solar there?
Mm.
Seems backwards.
It does sound like a bit of a paradox, doesn't it?
Exactly. But we're diving into it today. We've got this really interesting report from Black Knight Power looking at hybrid systems. Systems combining sunlight and, well, rain.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission is basically to unpack how these cutting-edge techs are trying to tackle solar's big challenges, even in super dry places. Okay, let's get into it.
Well, it really is a classic paradox. You've got Nevada averaging, 300 sunny days a year, ranks incredibly high for solar irradiance. It looks perfect.
Gene's ideal.
But then you have the heat. Traditional PV panels, they lose efficiency in those heat waves. We're talking maybe a 0.3 to 0.5% drop for every degree Celsius over 25.
Okay.
And then the big one, dust. Dust can slash efficiency by up to 50% in some cases. It's a huge problem.
50%. Wow. Okay, so heat, dust, obvious hurdles. But rain in Nevada, how much of an issue is that really?
You'd think not much, right? Only about 4 inches of rain annually down south.
Tiny amount.
But those sporadic monsoon showers, they actually cause noticeable dips in solar output, maybe 10–15% sometimes.
Huh. Didn't expect that.
And here's the twist, the really interesting part. Now, the idea is, can we actually use that rain, turn that disruption into something useful?
Okay, so using the problem as part of the solution, how? What are these innovations?
Well, one of the key things pioneered by researchers over at Tsinghua University in China are triboelectric nanogenerators.
TENGs for short.
TENGs.
Right.
How do they work?
So these are TENG arrays. Basically, they convert the physical impact of a raindrop hitting the surface into tiny amounts of electricity. It's a liquid-solid contact thing.
Okay, raindrop power. Sounds small.
It is per droplet. We're talking picowatts, really small. But when you have an array, they've achieved something like 6.5% energy conversion efficiency from the rain itself. So not replacing solar, but adding a little boost.
Exactly. It's not meant to be a standalone power source. Think more like offsetting nighttime loads or maybe extending battery life during a storm, capturing those little trickles.
Interesting. Okay, what's the second innovation you mentioned?
That involves graphene. Graphene-enhanced hybrid panels.
Graphene, right. Heard a lot about that material. What's it doing here?
It's got kind of a dual role. First, a super thin layer, just a monolayer, on the panel interacts with ions in the rainwater. Things like sodium, calcium ions.
Okay.
And it creates what they call a pseudocapacitor effect, like a tiny temporary battery charge right on the surface from the raindrop. It generates maybe 100 to 300 millivolts per drop.
Again, sounds small individually.
Very small contribution to overall power, yeah. Less than 5% of the daily output. But the other role graphene plays is maybe even more important, especially for Nevada.
Which is?
It's self-cleaning. That graphene layer helps shed dust and grime.
Tackling the deep problem.
Exactly. It can reduce those dust-related efficiency losses by a pretty decent 30%.
Okay, that sounds genuinely useful. But what about the cost? Does adding TENGs or graphene make financial sense for, say, a homeowner?
Good question. Let's look at the economics. A standard 12-kilowatt solar system in Vegas, after tax credits, might run you about $15,000.
And the savings?
Savings could be anywhere from $150 to maybe $330 a month, depending on usage. Now, adding these 10 or graphene layers, that bumps up the upfront cost, maybe 10–15% more.
It's longer payback.
Yeah, it pushes the payback period out a bit, maybe to 8 to 12 years instead of, say, 6 or 7. But interestingly, folks with high energy use big houses, pools, electric cars. They're reporting faster ROI even with the higher initial cost.
Makes sense. More savings potential to offset the cost.
Right. It does raise that bigger question, though. How do these fit into Nevada's overall energy strategy, given the unique desert environment?
And the regulations must play a part, too, especially with water being so precious there.
Absolutely. There's Assembly Bill 138, which now lets homeowners collect rainwater residentially.
Yeah, okay.
But anything large scale, any big harvesting project, still needs state approval. It really highlights that tight link between water and energy in an arid state. You can't touch one without thinking about the other.
True. What about the massive solar plants, the utility scale ones? Any application there?
Well, think about Ivanpah, that huge solar thermal plant out in the Mojave. Thousands of mirrors, heliostats, focusing light.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Impressive.
It often operates below its potential, partly due to cloud cover sometimes. Now imagine retrofitting those heliostats with a hydrophobic graphene coating.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially, you could reduce glare, which might help with the bird collision issue they've had. And maybe you could enable some auxiliary rain harvesting off those surfaces too, though obviously you'd need serious structural calculations for that. It's complex.
Right, a lot of engineering involved. So, wrapping this up, what's the bottom line here? Rain-powered solar in the desert niche gimmick or real potential?
I'd say it's definitely still nascent, still early days, but the promise is significant, especially for tackling those twin solar demons, intermittency and dust.
So it's addressing real weaknesses.
Exactly. And the future looks pretty exciting. Researchers are already working on combining perovskite solar cells, which are known for high efficiency, with TENGs. They're talking potential 30% PV efficiency plus rain harvesting.
30%, wow.
And get this, UNLV researchers out in Mesquite, Nevada, are piloting AI-driven energy management systems.
AI, how does that fit in?
The AI predicts rain showers, predicts the resulting dip in solar output, and then uses those tiny 10 trickle charges generated by the rain itself to pre-charge battery storage before the main solar output drops.
That's clever, using the rain signal to prepare for the rain's impact.
It's really ingenious. It's about making renewable energy more consistent, more reliable, using every little bit of available resource.
So maybe the key to unlocking truly consistent green energy isn't just about maximizing sunshine, but also about cleverly harnessing even something as unexpected as a desert rain shower. Makes you wonder how else we could rethink renewable, doesn't it?